Okay, and hello everybody watching on YouTube. This is Captain Jack. Yeah, we'll get started here in about another 5 minutes or so as you view the airplane at gate C41 in the C concourse, of course, at Denver International Airport as we get ready to fly to Salt Lake City tonight. KDEN to KSLC. Looks like we'll have a pretty smooth weather flight for this evening. And once again, we'll get started up here and start firing the airplane up in just about 4 minutes. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to get started here just a little bit early. Good evening, Captain Jack here in the 737 cockpit in the KE0VH Ham Shack. Want to say hello to Jay and Graham, who are there at the moment. I see that we've got 3 viewers right now, so if you're viewing, go ahead and say hello on the chat window there, and we're going to go ahead and get the airplane ready to go. I've already started fueling. Fueling is completed. We're going to be loading baggage here in just a minute, so we'll go through some of the screens here, and I'll show you everything that's going to be happening as we get started from KDEN to KSLC, Denver to Salt Lake City. So this is the first time I've done this in a live stream. We'll play with this and see how it goes, and if it's fun, and so on and so forth. So the first thing that we want to do is go ahead and start boarding our passengers. So let's go ahead and go into the cockpit here. We'll go ahead and go into the cockpit, and I'm going to go ahead and bring up the FMC, the flight management computer, and we'll go ahead and get the passengers started. We've got the jetway hooked up. We're going to go ahead and aboard with a full flight tonight, which is what our flight plan is telling us, of 148 passengers. And we'll go ahead and get started on that. So we'll start the passengers boarding. So one passenger, two passengers, here they come. We're going to go ahead and go over and start loading the cargo. Looks like we can start loading the rear cargo there, so we'll go ahead and get that started, and then we'll start going through the checklist. We're going to go ahead and let me pull down here a little further. And we'll go ahead and get the parking brake on, which is part of our checklist. We're going to check our battery. We're going to go to the overhead, and the battery is indeed on. I actually fired up the airplane power-wise just a few moments ago, so we'll go ahead and do that. Battery on and guard is there. The standby power guard is on. Ground power is on at the moment, and we're seeing 402 volts at 100 or 115 volts here, 402 on the top. And the amps is reading properly at the moment, not really drawing too much from ground power at the moment. We'll go ahead and give the switch a flick there. Our IRS and nav switches, I know that they're already on. I checked them a moment ago, and what this is doing is setting up the guidance computer for the airplane to know where it is. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat window, and I'll look over there every so often, and we'll get your questions answered there if at all possible. So we should be able to do that. Jesse, hey Jesse, really? Jesse Rowland? Oh my gosh! Hi, darling. How in the world are you? How did you find out about this? That is so cool. I see your little picture there on the chat window. So let's see. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and bring the window heat switches on so that the windows will be properly heated when we get to altitude there. Let's see. Next on the list, cabin utility power. I've already made sure that they are on the cabin and utility power. We're going to go ahead and set the seat belts into the auto position and get them on, and go ahead and let the cabin crew know. So there we go. We've got that going. All of the other ones are good. The anti-collision lights. Let's go ahead back here. Anti-collision lights, beacon and navs are on at the moment. So that's looking good. It's daytime, so we don't need the logo on the tail of the aircraft. Not going to really be able to necessarily look at the camera too much here, so we're going to get going on the rest of the checklist. All right, probe heat and window heat are on. Anti-ice and wings and the engine, we're not going to need those this evening. Everything's looking good there. The hydraulic pumps, the engine hydraulic pumps are on for now. The electrics will stay off until we start the engines in just a few minutes. Fuel pumps are all off at the moment. We'll go ahead, and this particular aircraft does not have trim air, so we're not going to mess with that. And the isolation valve is open at the moment. The packs, which are the air conditioners in the aircraft, are off at the moment. Fuel is already loaded. We've got a full fuel load according to the flight plan, and I'm going to go ahead and reach over flight plan here on the screen. So we're going to have a full load of passengers. Well, actually, now they're telling me 132 passengers. So we can go ahead and reset that in the FMC. So let me go ahead and make that change. So passengers, let's go ahead and change that. That'll change. 66 passengers have boarded. Let's see, we're going to go ahead and we've got to get rid of the fuel truck so that the baggage can start loading. Since I know that we've got a full load of fuel at 14.6, our flight plan calls for, I believe, 14.1 thousand or 14,100 pounds and a reserve fuel weight of 2,100 kilograms there. So we'll go ahead and release the fuel truck. And let's go to our outside view here, and you can see the fuel truck starting to get ready to go. The baggage loader is ready at the aft bay. We'll have to call the baggage loader for the front bay. So we'll have to give a minute for the fuel truck to go ahead and get out of there. One other thing I'll show you real quick here is our flight path this evening from Denver to Salt Lake City. And we're going to be at an altitude of 36,000 feet in cruise. It should take about an hour 10 to an hour and 15 minutes. So we'll see how that goes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and move this over to my other screen here so I have a little more to work with. All right, let's go ahead and get our perf init set, our performance initial values. So once again, let me bring up the flight plan. Our flight plan calls for 14.2 in fuel. We've got 14.9 already on board, so we'll go ahead and plug that in for the plan. That's the amount of fuel that we should use in the flight from Denver to Salt Lake City. Once again, our backup reserve fuel is 2.1. The FinRes reserve fuel is 2. So we'll go ahead and put that in for the reserve here. We're going to get a zero fuel weight, but we'll go ahead and probably change that in a minute. Once again, our flight plan that value, zero fuel weight, is between 117.1 and 121.7. So we've got a zero fuel weight here. I'm going to go ahead and change that to 120.1, which is a standard value. I use that a lot in most of my flights. The cost index, which is a value that an airline assigns to a flight for a certain speed, is going to be 7. As we look up here, our cost index is 7. So we'll go ahead and set that in the FMC. All right, so once again, now we'll go back to the flight plan. We'll see that our cruise altitude is going to be flight level 360, so that'll be 36,000 feet. So we'll go in 360 into the flight altitude. Our cruise wind, which we will see down in the flight plan in the middle of the waypoints, more or less at the top of the climb point, is going to be, the winds are going to be from 165 to at 16 knots. So from a heading of 165 at 16 knots. So we'll go ahead and put in 165/016, and we'll put that in the cruise wind. We can execute now. I'm going to pull the microphone here over just a little bit. So let's do that. We'll go to our N1 limit. Normally, I select an outside air temperature of 32 to help derate the flight if need be. We don't need that right at the moment. So we'll plug that in, and we've got these are the percentage values that the engines will be operating at takeoff. So we've got that. So we'll go to takeoff now. We're going to use a standard flaps 5 set for that. And my FC is a little high, so I keep getting up the. Our center of gravity, we'll come back and check this in just a moment because the passengers and the baggage is still loading right now. It's giving me a value of 3 or 1. That means that I'll set the trim in the aircraft for takeoff to 5.57. But for the moment, let's go ahead and see how our passengers are doing as far as the loading. So our passengers are loaded. So what we can do at the moment now, we're still not anywhere near ready to take off just yet, but we'll go ahead and we'll close the passenger entryway door, and we'll go ahead and get back to ground services here. No. And we'll go ahead and release the jetway, and we'll go outside of the aircraft, and we'll see the jetway pull away here in just a moment. So the passengers are loaded. The jetway is pulling away. We'll go ahead and go back, and we'll start loading our. There we go. All right, we can go ahead and start loading the front here, and the rear is loaded, so we can go ahead and get loaded. We can go ahead and get rid of the aft loader, and the aft carts, and we'll come back to our view here one more time, and we'll see those start to pull away from the aircraft. We're leaving, Jesse, we're leaving from C41. C41. I'm going to try to keep up with everybody's questions on the chat. I got to remember to do that during some of the more non-busy times, but we're going to be leaving from gate C41 there at Denver International. All right, so the airplane is continuing to load the front baggage there, so let's go ahead and go over and finish up our flight plan. So what I need to do at this point is I need to come to our initial setup here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put in KN as our reference airport, which is where we're starting from. I don't really necessarily need to enter the gate information here in the flight management computer. Let me see what happened there. C1. Okay, for some reason or another, it doesn't want to take it, but that's not mission. Okay, so our origin, of course, once again, is going to be KDEN. We're flying to KSLC, which is the ISO code for Salt Lake City, of course. We're going to use the company route because I've already got everything plugged in. Yeah, Graham, what a difference in versions used Flight Simulator 95. No kidding. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're going to do the flight plan KDEN, and that's already loaded in KSLC. And we're going to put that into the company route, and we're going to hit activate, and we're going to go ahead execute that. Our takeoff at the moment, once again, I still want to get our departure and arrival runways. So what we need to do at the moment is we need to go ahead and get the departure information, the ATIS information and ATIS codes. So we're going to go ahead and do that here. I'm going to look up the frequency for Denver. I should know it right off the top of my head, but I do not. I also need to start another piece of software here. Okay, so you guys can't see this, but I also use a program called flightplan.go, and I link it to, I'll try to show you this, I link it to the computer, and I'll try to show you this on camera if nothing else, but it gives me a lot of information about the airport and the airport frequencies, and I'll try, let me go ahead and go straight up to the webcam here on YouTube, and I'll try to show you this. But this is the information that I use, and you can see the little blue airplane there if I can get it centered on the camera right. That's showing me my position at Denver International Airport. It's not going to show up real great on the camera there, and at this time I don't have any way to really put it on the main screen here. But I'm going to go ahead and get my ATIS frequencies, which in this case is going to be 125.6. So we'll go ahead and dial this in, and I also need to do a radio panel reset. You can probably see me dialing this in over on the radio panel, so let's see if that brings up our ATIS information.
Denver Airport information, India 0000 Zulu. Wind 142 at 15. Visibility 10. Sky condition, few clouds at 9,900 feet, 13,900 feet scattered. Temperature 19er. Dew point 10. Altimeter 29.908. ILS runway 16 left, ILS runway 16 right, ILS runway 17 left, and ILS runway 17 right in use. Landing and departing runway 8 and runway 7. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact, you have India.
Okay, so now we have information India. So that gives us the air runways that we're going to be landing on. Yeah, Jay, no, I don't have disgruntled passengers. They shut up and they stay behind me and they don't ever bother me. Also, JS, is the weather real? Yes, it uses a real weather engine for that. So all the weather we'll see is what actually is happening in the moment, and it does look pretty accurate. Okay, so we can take off from runway 08 or 07. I think we're going to take off from 08 because we're closest to that, being at the C concourse, and since we have a discretion of that. 2998 is the altimeter reading. So we'll go ahead and let me bring this back so you can see this on the screen. We'll go ahead and we'll set the altimeter, which we're going to read in this panel right here. So it's right now at 2959. Let's go ahead and reset that now to 2998. That's going to give us our correct altitude, and you can see that coming in now on the PFD properly, the primary flight display. So 2998, all right, that is set. That should also cross-set to the first officer panel, which it does. I'm going to go ahead and turn the flight directors on now. We can do that, and now we need to go ahead and finish programming in the FMC and get that ready for our departure and arrival. All right, it looks like our baggage is also loaded, so we'll go ahead and detach that, and that should make all the passenger and baggage ops clear, so I can go ahead and actually, before I finish programming the FMC, I'm going to go ahead and start the auxiliary power unit. The auxiliary power unit is what will power the aircraft after we detach from ground power and before we start the main engines. So the APU switch is, where'd my mouse go? There it is right here. I actually have a button. I actually have a button here on my panel, so we'll go ahead and start the APU, and this is the APU exhaust gas temperature. We'll go ahead and get that started. And guys, this is what real pilots do. While we're sitting back there getting ready to go, they're going through their checklists, they're going through their weather, they're going through everything that they have to do to get the airplane ready. And because there's two of them, it goes a lot quicker, right? When there's only one of me, it doesn't necessarily go as quick. But I still think we're going to make an on-time departure from the gate here in about another 12 minutes or so. We'll see how that goes. All right, so we also have to go ahead and turn on the APU bleed, which is right here on your screen. And we're going to go ahead and turn on the engine bleeds to get ready for engine start here in just a couple of minutes. So let's see, where am I at the moment? All right, looking at the checklist, yeah, we're going to go back to the FMC. And we're also going to bring our flight plan back up. And we're going to look at what the flight plan is telling us. So it's good. The flight plan from SimBrief, which is an online source for flight plans, is telling us we're going to take off from 08. Yeah, it's a lot to remember, Graham. It really is. I've been doing it now for a couple of years nearly, and so I've practically got the checklist memorized. I'll go ahead and bring this up. But this is the primary checklist that I'm working from right here. Once again, it doesn't focus on the camera, but that's kind of what I'm using as my backup, and hopefully I don't forget anything and embarrass myself. So let's see. We've got all of that set. The APUs are set. We can also, what we got, we know we're going to leave at runway 08. The star is going to be Zimmer 3. Star stands for Standard Traffic Airport. No, wait a minute. That's not it. It's a departure. No, that's a SID. I'm sorry. Standard Instrument Departure is a SID. So Zimmer 3 is our SID. Changey is our transition altitude, which will also be at 18,000 feet. So we're going to go ahead and say, okay, we're going to take off on runway 8. And I've got to pull that back up because now, of course, I have forgotten what it is. Zimmer 3 and CHNGY, Changey. We're going to call it that. So we're going to go ahead and look for our SID here. There it was of Zimmer 3, and it automatically brings up our transition altitude point of Changey on the waypoint. So with that, we'll go ahead and hit execute on that. Now we're going to go back to our arrival at KSLC. And right now, our flight plan is telling us that that's going to be runway 17 with a SID of Leahy 5 and a transition altitude happening at EKR. So let's go ahead and plug in. We're going to use the ILS, which is the Instrument Landing System on 17. So we'll go ahead and click that in there. Leahy 5 was going to be our star. And standard terminal approach system there is what started. I forget what the R is now. I should know this off the top of my head, but trying to think and do on my feet all at the same time. So you guys can bear with me. All right, so EKR is a transition. We'll go ahead and hit execute. And let's see, we're going to check our legs now. These are the legs of the flight. These are the legs of the waypoints. I'll show you that on the system here in just a few minutes. I should have had that up, but I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the vector, which is where in real life they would give you a radar vector to head for, but we're going to bypass that, and we're going to go to Ralphie and see here, once again, is our SID, our Standard Instrument Departure Point of Zimmer. So that comes up there. I'll go through the rest of the flight plan. Everything's looking good. There's another vector, so we'll go ahead and advance that to prize. And then runway 17 is where we're going to land. So that might change as we get into the airspace there. But we'll see what happens when we get into the airspace at KSLC. All right, so that is set. Now, I also know I'm going to have to go back now, and I'm going to have to fix our takeoff speeds. So that always comes up after you set all of your parameters in programming the FMC to take you where you want it to go. All right, so our takeoff speed, our V1 rotate speed is going to be 132. Our VR decision speed, if we decide not to finish, is going to be 134. And that's finished the takeoff. And finally, V2 speed is going to be 136, where we will be up in the air. We're going to check our center of gravity once again to make sure that, and that indeed did change with the loading of the passengers and the baggage. So what we're going to do now is we're going to need to set our trim to 647. So we're going to come down to the trim wheel, and you'll notice there in the green, I'm going to rotate the trim wheel back until we get to 647. That will set the trims on the wings and the trailing edge to give us the proper liftoff per the weight that the aircraft is at this time. See, this once again is what real pilots go through while we're sitting back there wishing that they would get the aircraft started and let's get going and let's get to the next airport on time. So there you go. That brings me back to the checklist point. Okay, the flight directors are on. We switched those on in a little while ago. The auto throttle is off, sitting here at the position ready. Altitude, we know we're going to set our altitude here to 36,000 feet. I can also do that from my control panel down here, but I'm going to go ahead and bring it up on the main control control panel, the MCP, on the aircraft. All right, there's our altitude of 36,000 feet. That is set. Fuel flow, we're going to go ahead and reset the rate here so that we get the proper fuel flowing and the measurements on that. Minimums, which are set to radio at this time on both the captain side and the first officer side. All right, those are set and ready. And we're going to go back up to the top. Now we're going to set the yaw damper to on. All right, just about all of the main pre-flight stuff. We're going to get ready for pushback and start. So what we're going to do is we're going to plan our pushback and start by coming back down to the FMC. I'm going to come to, let's see, where are we? Pushback. There we are. All right, we're going to do a straight out pushback. The chocks need to be removed. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I know why that happened. I should not. All right, we're going to go. That's where I can get lost sometimes. We're going to go ahead and power everything back up on APU gens. And now we can remove the chocks. And, okay, they are removed. All right, and dual FMC off restored. All right, well, there you go. Stuff happens. All right, but That's why you stick with the checklist, and I was off a little bit. So we'll get a pushback straight out. We're going to go ahead, and at this time, we'll be ready for pushback. Let me do a couple of more checks here just to make sure. All right, we're going to turn on the hydraulic pumps, and we're going to turn on the main fuel pumps for the engine so we can get the engine started here in just a minute. I know our landing altitude in Salt Lake, I believe, right off the top of my head. Yeah, I killed the plane, Jesse, but not the main systems. Everything stayed up there, but it's back now. Like I said, I am not like Captain Canada and a real pro at all this. You should see that guy. Look Captain Canada up on YouTube sometime. He's just amazing. And he's got a lot more control functions in front of him as well. So it makes it a little bit easier because I'm running the TV and the video and the airplane here. We don't need wing anti-ice. We'll go ahead and come down through all the different panels you normally would go through up to down and across. So the APU gens are back on. That's good. All of the ground power, we can go ahead and make sure the ground power switch is off. In a few minutes, we'll get the engine generators going, and we're all set. All right, we're okay for pushback at this time. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the pushback tug, and I'm going to hit start.
Cockpit to ground. Go ahead. We've been cleared for pushback and...
Okay, so you can see the tug under the aircraft here, and he's going to tell me to...
Ready for push straight back. Brakes off.
Okay, we're going to release the parking brakes.
Brakes released. Brakes released. Here we go.
Okay, and we're going to let him push us all the way back to that yellow line, and while we're in transit, we're going to go ahead and get started. The APUs are on, and the APU bleed and engine bleeds are on. PAX, the air conditioning system is off, so we're going to go ahead and start up engine number 2. We're going to look down towards the engine information here, the engine status, and we can see the N1, which is the main fan at the front of the engine is starting up, and when it reaches 25%, we're going to go ahead and introduce fuel, and we're going to watch that come up now and come up to full speed. And while we're at it, I'm going to go ahead and have him stop us on the pushback. You'll be able to hear the engine sounds coming up there. And we'll go ahead and engage the parking brake, and we're stopped, and engine number 2 is, they usually fire up engine number 2 for whatever reason. I'm not really sure what the reason for that is, why they do that, but you'll notice that on a real aircraft. All right, engine number 2 is spooling up just fine, so we're going to go back up to the overhead panel, and we're going to start up engine number 2. So let's start up engine number 2 and watch engine number 2 come up here. All right, there she comes. That's looking good. All right, we'll introduce fuel. We've hit 25%. And I'm introducing fuel by bringing the, I'm doing it on my controller over here, but I'm bringing up
Denver
the
ground
engine fuel.
KE0 VH737 with India request taxi to the active straight-out departure.
KE0VH737 taxi to and hold short of runway 8 via taxiway Kilo Charlie November Lima Echo Echo Mike. Contact tower on 124.3 when ready.
Taxi to and hold short runway 8 via taxiway Kilo Charlie November Lima Echo Echo Mike KE0 VH737.
All right, we've got a clearance to taxi to runway 8. I have engaged the Microsoft Flight Simulator air traffic control. I don't really like it too much. It tends to not necessarily be super accurate, but we'll live with that for now. All right, so the engines have spooled up, so what we can do now is go back to the overhead panel, and we're going to kick in the engine generators. No, bring that there. All right, we're going to check Gen 1, and Gen 1 is looking good up in the green panel up here. 47 amps, 42 amps on the right gen. We are good. We'll go ahead now and we'll start the air conditioning systems and turn the isolation valve to auto, get the recirc fan on. And it looks like we are pretty much ready to taxi from my standpoint. So we'll go ahead and turn the taxi lights on. So taxi lights are on. All right, and that's set. All right, let's kill the parking brake, and we're going to taxi to runway 08 for an eastbound departure. Okay, except the stupid tug is still there. So we got to get rid of the tug. How about that? Like I said, you need a co-pilot sometimes. Okay, now the tug is gone, we can move. All right, we'll spool the engines up here to taxi speed. Normally you want to taxi at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. All right, I'm going to bring up, while we're going this way, I'm going to bring up the, no, not that. This. Okay, let's put this over here, and I'll show you here on the airport diagram where we're going to be taxiing to. So we're going to come out here to the edge of the tarmac, we're going to go to taxiway M, and then we're going to go all the way over here to runway 08. So that's where we're headed for takeoff. I'm going to pull this back over there so we can see out the front of the airplane. A mini fan. That's very cool. I hope so. Lucas, I hope you're watching, buddy. Say hi to Grandpa. Hi, Lucas. How are you? All right. Very cool. Very cool. All right. We'll go ahead and taxi here. You know, if you guys have any more questions you want to put in the chat window, I'd be happy to answer those. I'm going to lower the volume a little bit on the aircraft sound. So if you guys have any questions there. By the way, also don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up there. And that would be greatly appreciated. Oh, wait a minute. I got to watch where I'm going, don't I? I got to look at too many things. I need my co-pilot to do a little bit better job. He's not doing so good tonight. All right, we're coming up on taxiway M here. I'm also watching on my other little screen, so we'll go ahead and get headed towards taxiway. Lucas, did you give Grandpa a thumbs up? That's awesome. We're getting ready to take off here, buddy. So you hang on. Make sure your seat belt is fastened and your tray tables are in their full and upright position. All right, let's do that. Yeah, you know, sometimes when I'm sitting in the airplane and I'm going on one of these big taxiways here in Denver, I'm thinking, I can't hardly wait till we get to the runway. I love the takeoff portion, and you guys will get to see that here in just a minute as well. So we'll go ahead and continue our taxi. And once again, if anybody has any questions about Flight Simulator or any questions about what pilots are doing towards this time, I would be happy to acknowledge those questions and answer them there in the chat window. All right, we're coming up. This big area you see over here to the right is a blast pad and a spool engine up pad and all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut back now on the throttles, and we're going to roll up to the stop point of runway 08, and we're going to go through the rest of the pre-takeoff checklist.
737 at runway 8 ready for departure, straight out departure. Cleared for takeoff runway 8 KE0VH 737.
Okay, so the first thing we need to do is set our course heading and our heading for runway 08, and that, of course, is going to be 82. So we're going to head for a heading of 82 in the course, or set a course for the heading of 82 would be the proper way to say that. All right, let's get the first officer's course indicated as well. And we're going to do the same thing for the heading of the aircraft. We're going to set it for 082. You see the pink line coming around there in the MFD, the main flight display. So we'll set that for 082. We're going to go ahead and set our takeoff speed for that V2 plus 15, which in this case is going to be 152. Now, actually, we're going to set it for 156. That's more of a normal one that I normally set that for. So let's do that. All right, the MCP looks set and correct. I need to change one of the view here, the map view. You can see our course here on the MFD. I'll go ahead and zoom in on that just a little bit. You can see our course is going to take us down the runway. We're going to make a left turn to head on the programmed flight path. So that will be our course set for Salt Lake City initially to start with. All right, so now I know at this point in the checklist, although I'm going to go ahead and look at it, we set the engine start switches to continuous. Okay, engine start switches are at continuous. We're going to set the auto brake. The auto brake will help keep the aircraft from skidding off the runway. It's right there in the middle. I just turned it with my control on the panel. We're going to set that to RTO. Runway turnoff lights are off. Position lights in standby. I did that already. Landing lights, we're going to go ahead and turn those on. So we'll flip the landing lights on here. Yeah, what's the pickup doing out there, Dave? You know, for some reason, Flight Simulator randomly puts stuff on the runways. Who knows? That is one of the bugs in the system. All right, so the TCAS, which is the Traffic Control Avoidance System, we're going to go ahead and make sure that that is set to TARA, and it is. All right, we're going to go ahead and set our flaps to 5, setting flaps to 5. And you can see that on the control right here. And if we go outside of the aircraft, we can see our flaps starting to extend. And if we sit in the passenger seat, we can hear them. Hear that sound? All right, well, it quit just as soon as I said that. All right, there we go. Now we go back. Heading bug is on the runway heading position. That is correct. And we're going to go ahead and hit our vertical navigation light and our L lateral navigation light. And it's not going to want to come on just yet because we're not actually in line with the travel that we're going to be doing down the runway. So we'll engage that shortly after we manually fly up to about 8,000 feet. All right, so let's go ahead and get our clearance for takeoff here from Air traffic control. Okay, it looks like we're cleared for takeoff already. I don't have other traffic turned on and engaged at this time because my frame rates for the simulator have not been that great. All right, we're going to go ahead and kick off the parking brake there, and we're going to go ahead and roll forward and line up on 08 here for takeoff. Okay, engines are at 50%, so we're going to do what's called a turn and burn. We're going to do a turn and burn here. Okay, we're lining up on runway 08, and we're going to go ahead and spool up for takeoff. Here we go.
Airspeed alive.
80 knots checked.
V1, rotate. V2. Positive rate of climb.
Gear up. Okay, we've reached 165 knots. We're going to go ahead and speed bug up. And I am manually flying the airplane.
KE0VH737, leaving my airspace frequency change approved.
Denver Tower KE0VH737 frequency change. Denver approach KE0VH737 is type 4 miles southwest of 0 Charlie Oscar, tree 7,500 feet. Request clearance to transition Bravo airspace.
KE0VH737, Denver approach. Squawk 0566.
Squawk 0566 KE0VH737.
KE0VH737 radar contact. 3 miles southwest of 0 Charlie Oscar, tree 8,700 feet.
Okay, we're going to get up to flaps 1 because we're at 178 and climbing.
Cleared through the Bravo airspace KE0VH737.
And I'm going to go ahead and change our heading back to our flight path plan.
Contact Denver approach on 126.55. Good day.
Okay, we've reached 10,000
126
feet. You can
decimal
use your
flight point,
electronic
0VH737.
devices here.
Denver
Matt,
approach
K0LWC. Hey, Matt, glad to see you on the
7,021
stream
feet.
tonight. Great to see you, my friend.
KE0VH737, Denver approach altimeter 29.97. Continue.
All right, and we're going to engage the autopilot. All right, we're going to set the cockpit, I should say, back to some normal settings. We'll turn the auto brake off. And you can see DIA out there, and there's runway 08 that we took off from. All right, and there we go. We're getting on the flight path on the PFD. We're holding at about 245 knots because we're right at 10,000 feet. Not sure why we're going down a little bit there. Let's make sure all the... Okay, LNAV and VNAV are set. Command A on for the autopilot. Oh, for some reason, my altitude, not sure what happened there. I know I set that to 36,000 feet. All right, let's go ahead and set that. All right. Everything looks pretty normal here. I'm waiting for our climb to begin. Should be starting here in just a couple of minutes. And there we can look out the left side passenger window and see Denver International Airport. We took off on runway 08 right over here. And we'll say goodbye to DIA. Let's see what our flight plan time-wise is looking like. All right, top of climb and another 82 miles. We'll hit that at about 27 after the hour. KSLC, we're going to be landing probably in about an hour and 10 minutes at 0225 Zulu. Everything's in Zulu time. So that's about what I was expecting. We'll be landing, before 8:30. So if you have any questions, once again, in the chat window, I am looking at the chat window now, and I've got a little time to take a look at that.
Contact Denver approach on 125.12. Good day.
125.12 KE0VH737. Denver approach KE0VH73 710,000 feet.
KE0VH737. Decimal minus 7, continue.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and get that part of the climb going there because for some reason it was not climbing the way that I wanted it to. We were holding right around 10,000 feet, and we need to be going ahead and getting on up there. Again, that's sometimes why you have pilots, in case something goes a little wacky. I did a couple of practice flights yesterday, and of course everything went absolutely smoothly, and I pretended like I was talking to somebody on YouTube, not quite as much as I'm talking here, but went through that and everything. So we're on the way, and everything is looking pretty doggone good. All right, now the FMC should be controlling the speed and the altitude, and it looks like it is. So we're doing pretty good here. If you look at the primary flight display, we're climbing at about a 7.5 degree angle.
KE0VH737, you're leaving my airspace radar service. Terminated. Squawk 1200. Frequency change approved.
All right, thank you very much.
Squawk 1200. Frequency change approved KE0VH737. Denver Center KE0VH737 is type 5 miles southeast of Kilo Echo India Kilo 14,200 feet. Request flight following.
KE0VH737 Denver Center. Squawk 0106.
Squawk 0106 KE0VH737.
No, Dave, you're absolutely right. 10K elevation does not cut it in Colorado. That's why we're climbing. We're at 15 now, so we'll take a look at some of the mountain views here in just a couple of minutes. Let me do this.
Roger KE0VH737.
Getting my flight instruments to where they're actually right here in front of me. You can't really see on the camera, but they're right here in front of me. Let me go ahead and bring the screen up a little bit bigger to this view. I actually have all of the aircraft's primary flight displays right here in front of me, so they're right in front of me and I can see them. And we're coming up on transition altitude. We're at 17,000 feet. 18,000 feet is transition. I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to let me bring this back. I'm going to go ahead and switch to barometric readings on the PFD there. And once again, we're at 17.8. We're going to hit 18,000 feet as a transition altitude, and we just did, so we'll get that. Now we're flying at the standard 2992. And I'm not sure why we're slowing down here. I'm going to go ahead and cycle the flight directors. We're making a turn here. It looks like we've got some clouds coming up. All right, yes. Cycling. All right, let's see. What's going on here, guys? Can I say hi to Lucas again? Absolutely. Hi, Lucas. Let me put it over here to where you can see Grandpa. Hi, Lucas. How are you? Glad you're along for the flight, buddy. All right. That's so much fun. My little grandson Lucas is watching in Lakewood with his mommy Jessie and his daddy Alex, and little brother Oliver is there, I bet, but Oliver can't say hi right now. All right, so let's see. We're going to go ahead and bring our speed up. See how much speed I can get out of the old girl here while we climb on up. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of those outside views. Okay. I know what happened there. All right. There we go. Let's bring that back. All right, yeah, nothing but cloud over the mountains. That's for real, guys. I was hoping we'd get some good mountain views today, but we're not seeing the great mountain views that I was really hoping for there. So we'll continue on up the hill here towards top of climb.
To 128.65 KE0VH737. Denver Center KE0VH737 flight level 200.
KE0VH737, Denver Center, continue as planned.
All right, a real pretty view out there over the clouds. You know, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 really renders the clouds very nicely, actually. And there's some other software that you can load on to fine-tune that a bit, depending upon the speed and the strength of your particular graphics card that you may have on board your computer. I'm using a GTX 1070 on this. It's kind of a homebrew computer, and the GTX 1070, while a little old, is purely sufficient for running Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and X-Plane 11. We'll probably do an X-Plane 11 flight here down the line, but for now we'll continue on. So once again, if anybody has any questions or any comments they'd like to make, I am watching the chat window here. And once again, I want to say hi to Matt, K0LWC. Jesse is there with little Lucas, of course, my daughter-in-law, and my little grandson, 3-year-old grandson. And let's see, Dave is there, and Jay is there, and Graham was there a little bit earlier. So there you go. If you have not yet, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button and give me a like there. And by the way, something I've always wanted to do, and I thought about getting a little sound effect for it, but you know, I'm a big fan of Pirates of the Caribbean. And one of the things that I've always wanted to do was go, this is Captain Jack, and you're flying today to Salt Lake. So there you go. All right. Hey, looks like we're going to clear some clouds here and come out over it opening in the clouds. That'd be awesome. Let's see. Once again, we can look at our flight progress here. And yeah, we're still scheduled to land just about an hour from now at KSLC. And top of climb is still about 49 miles away. So right now, the autopilot should be handling the speed of the aircraft. We're coming through 25,000 feet at about 270 knots, which is where I've got it manually set. So I'm going to go through the FMC here and see if I can figure out why the FMC, for some reason, is not handling the speed right now. One of the cool things that I'll show you here as well is we'll look at the main flight display, and we can see right now our true airspeed is 409 knots. Yeah, Graham, you know, I'm sure I can get voiceovers for the sim. I was actually talking to one of my kids about that earlier. We may end up doing that. So our true airspeed is 412 knots. Our ground speed at this time is 408 knots. And the winds at this altitude, 28,000 feet that we're at right now, are coming from a heading of 189 rather, at 16 knots. So we're fighting a little bit of a 16, 17 knot crosswind at this time. All right, I'm going to go back through the FMC again. Climb target speed of 284. That's looking correct, although I'm manually controlling everything as far as the speed goes. It's not, you know, they do built-in failures. They do build in failures into this aircraft. And I thought I'd reset them all, but maybe not. So at the moment, I'm manually flying the aircraft, at least speed-wise. The autopilot is taking care of the heading and the altitude. We just crossed through 30,000 feet. So really, overall, we're looking pretty good. I'm just not sure why the... Oh, wait. You know what? Actually, it does have... It came back. All right, some of those resets I did must have helped. If you look here on the primary flight display, let's go over here and look at that real quick. You can see where it says MCP speed. That means the MCP is controlling the speed. All right, let's get a view out our window here and take a look down at the mountains. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Dave says, I was going to watch the fuel gauge for you, but I can't figure it out, so I'm no help. Dave, you know what? I'll go over that in just a minute. So hang on here. Yeah, looking down at the mountains over Colorado, and I can tell you just about where we are here. All right, that's pretty cool. We're actually just about right over Kremling, so Dylan Silverthorne is going to be right down in this area, and we can't see it for the clouds. Once again, this is real weather generation. This is what's happening right now in Colorado, and it looks like there's sunshine to the west, and we still got, another hour or so of sunlight left. Let's go ahead and look out our right wing here. All right, that's looking north up towards Rabbit Ears Pass, and Steamboat Springs is right. There's Rabbit Ears Pass right there with the mouse pointer. And Steamboat Springs, of course, is right down in here. Hayden is over here, and Craig is over here. So we're cruising along pretty well. Dave, you were talking about the fuel. Let's look at the fuel gauges for just a moment. It's really pretty easy when it gets right down to it. This is telling me how much fuel I have in each wing. So about 5,380 pounds, 5,370 pounds in the left wing, 5,650 in the right wing, total of 11,000 pounds.
K0BH737, contact Denver Center on 126.5. Good day.
126.5 KE0VH737. Denver Center KE0VH737 flight level 3.
K0.
All right, and we will continue as planned. Very good. So now in real life, what the pilots would be doing at this point is basically sitting here doing what I'm doing. Monitoring the systems, making sure everything looks right, making sure that everything is going well with the airplane, making sure that air traffic control is being talked to in the proper manner, and all of that. So there you go. That's what pilots would be doing for real at this time.
K0BH Center.
128.65 KE0VH737. Denver Center KE0VH737 flight level 350.
K0.
Okay, so we're 5 miles away from the top of the climb. The way that we see that is I'll go ahead and bring you back in here once again to the main flight display. And you can see TC, top of climb. That's where we're going to level out at 36,000 feet. And then we'll go ahead and release the passengers to get up and go around the cabin. And if you guys don't mind, I'm going to go up and grab a cold drink. I should have brought a cold drink down with me, but I did not do that before we started the flight. So once we reach top of climb here at 36,000 feet, we'll go ahead and release the seatbelt sign, and then you guys can get up and stretch your legs a little bit. By the time that we hit that top of climb, that's going to bring us into cruise, and then we'll check and see. We're 1.7 nautical miles away from top of climb. We'll check and see when top of descent is, and then we'll all need to be back in our seats and seatbelts fastened.
Denver Center. Good day.
Going to 134.5 KE0VH737. Denver Center KE0VH737 flight level 360.
Okay, so it's 153 miles to top of descent. That's going to happen at about 53 after the hour, which is about 20 minutes from now. So we've got a 20-minute cruise. Let's go ahead and turn the seatbelts off for the passengers. Not sure if you guys can hear the little tones there, but if you will stand by for just a minute, I'm going to let you look out the left window here at the mountains of Colorado from 36,000 feet. And I'm going to go get a cold drink, and I will be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. Are you back at this time? Once again, welcome to the inaugural stream for myself in Flight Simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I see I have 10 viewers on right now. Sure appreciate you guys being here. We had a total of 28 viewers here that have checked in. If you have not hit that thumbs up button yet, please do for me. I'd appreciate that. That would be really cool. I'm planning on maybe doing this about once a week. We'll see how it goes, maybe sometime on the weekends. I really encourage you, if you would, check out Captain Canada and watch his streams. My God, the guy is so good. It's just amazing. This is the first time I've ever attempted a live stream while doing Flight Simulator. Many of you, especially the ham operators among you, have heard me talking about Flight Simulator for a long time on the skyhublink.com repeater linking system, but had never really tried the full flight here before. So I appreciate you guys checking in, and I may, like I said, try to do this at least once a week. I end up doing 2 or 3 Flight Simulator sessions a week. I'm learning how to fly the Embraer 190, which is a twin-engine commercial jet. And, of course, sometimes we'll tool around in a Cessna or maybe a DC-3. How about that? We'll do a startup, a cold and dark start with the DC-3 sometime, and do some flying around Colorado. A little lower, a little slower. And some of the scenery in this, it's almost like you're really doing it, guys. It's pretty amazing. So once again, any questions or comments in the chat, love to see it. If you have anything to say at all, that would be awesome. But we'll go ahead and since I had a captain break there to go to get something to drink. Have you ever noticed only when it seems like on the commercial flights, the guys only get to use the restroom when they touch down, after they've touched down, and before they get started. I've got to wonder on some of these 5-hour flights, man, are they drinking coffee or something up there? Or probably not, because, man, I think they'd have to go to the bathroom more when they were at cruise. All right, let's take a look at where we are and how we're going. Okay, I'm going to bring a little nav map in on the screen so you can see right now we just hit Ecker, as I said earlier. We're going to fly on to Salt Lake over here, of course. So we've got, looks like a little more than about 296 miles left to go. You know, those mountains are pretty, even just in simulation, isn't it? It really gives you almost like you're really there. Almost. They even render the snow on the mountaintops really, really well. That's about the snow level. Let's see, Jeter, is it Jeter or Jetter? 999. Says you've got a great setup there, fun to watch, no co-pilot needed. Thanks, man, I appreciate that. I really do. All right, let's go ahead and look at our FMC here. So looks like we're still good on time, 25 after the hour to land at KSLC. Top of descent is 100 nautical miles away. That's going to happen in just about another 12 minutes or so. We'll hit top of descent. All right, guys, I'm going to take one more quick break here. I've got my drink, but unlike the real guys, I'm not going to wait till we land to go take care of that part of the business. So hang on here. I'll let you look out the right wing here for just a couple of minutes, and I will be right back. All right, and I'm back in. I'm back in here now, and let's see. Grant von Letkeman. Hey, Grant, nice to have you in here tonight. Saying Denver Center's getting ready to hand you off to Salt Lake Center here in a minute. Yeah, that definitely would be occurring here pretty quick. We'll see if the onboard ATC will take care of it. Now, I tell you, as busy as we were when we were taking off, it's going to be even busier, especially in the last phases of landing. So that's going to be fun. I got to tell you, in doing this, I really love the landing phases. It's my favorite part of the whole thing. It really is. It's the most fun. It's where there's the most going on, when you've really got to watch what you're doing. A lot of times, if something seems to be a little flaky in the flight management computer or whatever the case may be, I'll act as my own air traffic controller as well and vector myself in, especially if I have to do a go-around. We're not going to plan on doing that tonight. By the way, the airplane that I'm flying, let's get a nice outside view here of the aircraft. Let's take a look at this, flying over Colorado. This is the PMDG 737. Hey, there's the moon. How about that? This is the PMDG. Let me lower the volume on the aircraft a little bit. Okay, to be easier to hear me here, this is the PMDG 737. It's about, I think they're charging about $60 some odd for this piece of software. They call it a study level aircraft. They've made it to where it flies, behaves, acts, programs, everything, just like a real 737. I have no doubt, after having the opportunity one time to actually go to the United Flight Training Center here in Denver, I have no doubt that if I was the last person on the airplane that could fly the airplane, I might be scared out of my gourd, but I actually think I could bring it in and make her land safely, because I've been doing this for so long in this simulation. And once again, this is a study level aircraft, and when they put me in the 787 Dreamliner simulator at the United Flight Training Center, was so blessed and lucky to get to do that. I actually managed to land the thing 7 times. He'd set me up. We took off and landed at SFO San Francisco, Denver, Honolulu, Hawaii, and I was able to actually really land the aircraft, a real simulator, the real thing that they train the actual pilots on. Yep, there's Salt Lake Center coming in, Grant. Good call. Yeah, they just logged in with us there, or we're logging in with them. So anyway, amazing stuff. If you look up PMDG, Papa Mike Delta Golf, PMDG 737, you'll see the website for the airplane that we're flying here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 tonight. All right, let's go ahead and bring those comms back up a little bit. I got to reach around here to do that. All right. Once again, I want to go back to the FMC. Go up. Hang on here. All right. Okay, I'm going to lower our speed to about 265. The FMC, for some reason, is still not handling the speed for some reason. All right, well, that'll be fine. I will just do it manually. That is what a pilot is for, right? Right? I'm sure if there are any real flight simmers who have been doing this for years, hey, it's first night. First time trying it while streaming as well, handling all the video and handling the aircraft. So there you go. Once again, hey, if you're watching and you haven't said anything in the chat window, if you'd say hello, I'd really appreciate it. It'd be nice to acknowledge you watching tonight. That would be really cool. Looks like we've had a maximum of 30 views, so that's pretty cool. I appreciate that. Those of you that are hanging in here for the flight, it's great to have you. My little 2 dogs, my 2 dogs are watching upstairs. That's pretty funny. All right, let's go ahead and take another check of the aircraft systems here. Once again, we're 44 nautical miles away from top of descent. We're going to have to lower the altitude in the MCP in just a few minutes to get ready to descend. Let's go ahead and take a look at the top panel. I'm going to go ahead and switch the seat belts back on. All right, and I also need to look up a little information here before we hit top of climb. I'm going to do a little pre-descending before we hit top of climb because I think that I bumped the autopilot button, and yeah, it looks as though, yeah, there's top of descent coming up. I'm going to go ahead and lower our altitude by about 1,000 feet, so we're at 36,000 feet when we hit top of descent. We'll pretend that air traffic control told us to climb for a little bit. I'm not sure why and or how I hit the autopilot button. I might have bumped it over here on the hard controller, but we'll go ahead and get back to 36,000 feet. We'll hold there. Graham, you're being very encouraging, man. I appreciate that. Graham says it's not easy. You're doing really well. I appreciate that, especially trying to do everything all at once. And I don't have all the fancy controllers that Campton, Canada has. So there you go. All right. We're coming up on 36,000 feet. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the VNAV button back. All right, you know what? That actually cleared out the problem I was having with the speed. Now, if we look over on the PFD, VNAV path and FMC speed, yay, finally, we got that silly thing to do what it's supposed to do. It's really pretty, really incredible. Okay, we're 20 miles out from top of descent. What we're going to do, right before we reach top of descent, and honestly, it wouldn't hurt to do it now, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to get some information here on KSLC, and right now, we're due to be landing on runway 17. Yeah, if you'll remember, our flight plan calls for us to land ILS runway 17. The entry point for that is 6,000 feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the altitude down now in the MCP to 6,000 feet. We're going to maintain 36,000 feet until we hit the top of descent, in which case then the FMC is going to take over our flight control. So 6,000 feet is where we'll hit the ILS glide slope for landing on runway 17. We will be coming in from the north. Top of descent is now 10 miles away. I'm bringing up the flight level. Okay, Lucas, bye, buddy. Bye, buddy. I'm sorry you're not going to get to watch us land, but it's bath time. Mama says. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Jesse, thanks for having him watch there. And thanks for everybody who's watching tonight. Sure appreciate that. Once again, this is Jack, Captain Jack tonight, K0VH. We are flying the Southwest 737 Freedom 1 aircraft. I actually have seen this real aircraft out at the airport. I actually got to really see it one time, getting ready to take off from runway 25, as a matter of fact, and that was really cool. That was really cool. Appreciate everybody watching tonight. Hope you're enjoying the stream. And we're just about to hit top of descent. All right. All right, and we have begun to descend a little bit. Let's take a look at our flight level and nominal descent rate. We're about 32 feet at the moment and coming down onto the proper glide slope. And good day to you.
133.9 for K.
Applejack's 971.
VH 737 flight.
Applejack's 971 says, heard you on Skyhub Sunday while in Cheyenne. Glad you mentioned this. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. Glad you're here. Once again, if you have not hit the thumbs up button, really would appreciate that. And ladies and gentlemen, we're descending into Salt Lake City. Make sure your seat belts are fastened. I'm not worried about your tray tables and seat backs at this point. All right, so I'm going to get an initial look at what our altimeter in Salt Lake City is by using my app on another iPad over here. So initial altimeter set is going to be 2977. Winds are from the south at 7, so that means we're going to be landing on runway 17, facing into the wind. Visibility is 10 statute miles, few clouds at 14,000 feet, few at 24,000, and we're looking really, really good. Temperature is 7 degrees centigrade, Celsius. So that's going to be, what, in the 50s? Doing my C conversion in my head. I'm probably somewhat close, hopefully. Oh, man. We're about to fly over. Let's see what lake that is. That is Strawberry Reservoir off of our nose there. There's a little bit better view of Strawberry Reservoir. And actually, you can see Great Salt Lake out there past that second mountain range. Very cool. Very cool. Now, I will try to keep an eye on the chat room as well. But once again, that may be a little hard to do when we get into the landing phases here.
Going to 119.9er 5KE0VH737. Salt Lake Center KE0VH737 flight level 305.
All right. Continue as planned. Just looking at a video there of my grandson that my daughter-in-law sent. Very cute. He's watching on her phone when he was watching. All right, let's see where we are. As you can see, we are descending through 29,000 feet. Our airspeed is 251 knots. Our ground speed is 380 knots. True airspeed is 385 knots. And the winds are out of the south at about 19 at this altitude. So we're looking pretty good. Everything's looking good. You know, they have got the sounds on this aircraft so amazingly right. It's really incredible to me. This is what it sounds like when you're sitting there over the wing. It's just amazing. They've done such a good job with the modeling in this aircraft. Dave says he flew from Stapleton to Salt Lake years back. I believe it was a 727. Dave, I bet it was. That would have been a shorter range aircraft, and I bet that's exactly what it was. All right, so I'm going to start watching things fairly closely here. First thing we need to look for is the transition altitude. I am going to tune Salt Lake ATIS on the nav radios, so those frequencies 124.75.
Salt Lake Airport information Sierra 010 Zulu. Wind calm. Visibility 10. Sky condition clear. Temperature 23. Dew point 10. Altimeter 29.64. ILS runway tree. Full right ILS.
Okay, we have Sierra, and they have changed the runway on me. So they've given me 34 left and 34 right that we're landing on, so we're going to go into the FMC. Okay, we're going to change the routing. We've changed to 3-4 right. Let's go back through the legs and check for discontinuities and or any vectors. So, yep, there was one. We're going to change that. And runway 34 right is now our destination. So you can see the flight path here on the main flight display. Over on the first officer's MFD, you can see where we're descending through 24,000 feet. And we're coming in for the approach. It looks like we've got a discontinuity there. Let me come back. We're going to go to legs. No, everything looks good there. All right, and you can tell that we're making the turn. Okay, I may need to give myself some of my own vectoring here. Because they changed the flight path on me. And I'm looking at the departures and arrivals. All right, we're actually looking pretty good. Hopefully, we'll be able to make a head-in landing and not have to do any vectoring. Everything looks good there. All right, I need to set our approach course. This is where it's going to get really, really busy. So we need to set an approach course of 344. And we're going to go ahead and give ourselves a heading of 344 because we're going to continue with the flight plan. All right, our next waypoint, FFU, we should meet that at 17,000 feet. And we're coming through 19.3 right now, so we're looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and do a pre-arm of the speed brakes, the spoilers, and we're going to go ahead and set our auto braking, which you see on the middle knob there that I'm flicking back and forth at the moment. We're going to go ahead and give that a level 3. And we look to the right down the Salt Lake Valley over the first officer's dashboard there. And there, just past the center strut support, is Mount Farnsworth. I've been to the top there and actually helped to build a radio station there one time. It was really cool. All right, so far we're looking good. We've just hit the transition altitude, so we're going to go ahead and set that. The transition 2964. So we need to change to 2964. Okay.
Salt Lake approach KE0VH.
Okay, and our required navigation performance situation is looking good. All right, that looks good. Now I need to go ahead and set
120.9er for
the ILS
Salt Lake approach
frequencies.
KE0VH7.
Okay, so we're 25 miles out from the airport.
737.
And we're coming to through 16,000 feet.
19.9er 5 KE0VH7 Salt Lake Center KE0VH7 15,800 feet.
Okay, I am going to try to record the landing so that we can go back and see a replay. Okay, I'm going to have to give us some vectors here because we are too high. Something happened with the FMC here that is not quite correct. So we're going to take over and we're going to fly a bit of a holding loop. And the controller is going to vector us to about a course 170. So I am manually flying the airplane right now. With the controller, because the airport is actually right off our left nose at about 15 miles out. So we are definitely too high on the approach. Now, this is what an aircraft would normally do if they're being vectored around for some reason. First of all, they changed our runway to land on. And second of all,
Salt Lake approach. Request clearance to transition Bravo airspace. Bravo airspace. H7.
okay, what we're going to do is we're going to head out towards that lake, which is not Great Salt Lake. Great Salt Lake is behind us. And we're going to come down. And we'll keep descending. We're actually looking okay. Okay, so what I did is I just reprogrammed the FMC to go ahead and turn and bring us in where we need to be. Okay, we're coming through 10,000 feet. Landing lights are on. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and leave the taxi lights on too. It won't hurt. And as we see on the main flight display, we're now following the path back to be able to line up properly on the runway. You know, it's amazing to me how many times in real life the real aircraft end up just coming straight in. Now, in Denver, a lot of times I've been to where they'll loop down and around to line up with a runway that was not on their original flight plan. You can always tell when that happens because you end up landing just a few minutes late, and or you fly that long loop to the south after coming from the north instead of landing straight in on one of the north-south runways. So it does happen. All right. think we're going to get a real pretty view of the mountains here. Might be a little lower than they might do in real life, but that's all right. We'll end up where we need to be. Should be a real pretty view out the right wing. Although I tell you, there's some approaches into Burbank. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to fly to Burbank, but I'll tell you what, you feel like you're just about to scrape the mountains there. All right, now we'll go back to lateral navigation and put ourselves back on the magenta flight path, as you see here. So that's doing good. All right, and let's see. I'm going to go ahead and start manually controlling our speed. I'm going to go ahead and bring us down to about 210 knots. And I'm going to give ourselves 1 notch of flaps. See the flap indicator moving here? Okay, and we are 17 miles out from the runway. Okay, one other thing that I can do here real fast is I can get, let's see, 0.2 difference in the current fuel and the fuel we'll have when we land. So we're going to enter 128.6 as our gross weight at landing. We're going to get our landing approach reference speed of flaps 30 and a speed of 133. And we're going to put that in, and we are beginning our final approach here. Okay, and you can see the runways out there in front of us, and we are lining right up on 34 right. All right, we are looking really good, really good. Okay, we're going to go ahead and set flaps 5. And in just a moment, I'm going to lower our gear. Okay, gear down. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and fly it. Welcome to Salt Lake City. Check. And we've got more or less a small wind at our tail. Yeah, varying between 0 and a 5-knot tailwind. Normally, I would rather be landing into the wind. Dave says at LAX there's a runway that's just above one of the busy freeways. Yeah, that's very true. Okay, flaps 15. And we're going to go ahead and bring our speed down. Yeah, we got a little shaking going on on there. In just a moment, I'm going to disable the autopilot and fly the rest of the way in. Because I got that little bit of a cross tailwind, it's crossing now. I can see on the MFD indicator. I am probably
1,000.
okay, 1,000 feet. Let's go ahead and flaps 30. All right, and looking good. On glide path, on glide slope, 2 whites, 2 reds on the PAPI lights you see on the left-hand side of the runway. All right, once again, everybody, welcome to Salt Lake. Okay, I am hand flying the airplane now. Just little control adjustments. 2 white, 2 red on the PAPI lights. We're looking good on center line so far. So you'll notice when you're flying in a real commercial aircraft, when the wings start waggling, he's hand flying the airplane. That's when he's having fun. He's actually flying the airplane. So here we go. All right, threshold, we're going to go ahead and throttles back, 50 feet, 20, nose up. We're a little off center line. All right, touchdown. Reverse thrust. That is so cool how you can really hear that. Okay, 80 knots, reversers off. And we'll go ahead and disengage the brake and vacate the runway. All right. There you go. Once again, welcome to Salt Lake City. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull up to the beginning of the taxiway here. And in just a moment, we'll go ahead and travel in on to the gate. I don't know which gate we're going to, whichever one we want. Okay, and I got to pull up the airport diagram here so I can see where I am. All right, very good. Yeah, once we get into our gate, we'll go back and do a couple of landing replays. And landing lights off. And taxi lights off. Okay, okay, we're coming into gate F21. Hey, the lights just came on at the airport. How about that? All right. Go ahead and parking brake on. Parking brake is on and indicated. All right, I turned on the APUs a moment ago. That's ready, so now we can put the aircraft on APU power. All right, and we can shut the engines down. Let's go ahead and go to off. Should have put them in continuous before we landed, but I didn't do that. All right, and now we'll take the fuel away. And we'll turn the fuel off. And we'll go ahead and call for jetway. And let's see if this is going to work. This airplane's parked a long way out from this thing. We may have to use the air stairs. All right, but without going through everything else, let's go ahead and hit a replay here. See if I can bring that up. Okay, here we go. Little off center line, but not too bad. Let me go ahead and pause this again. All right, resume. I'll let her float just a little bit, but hey, there we go. Not too bad on that second drop. Okay, let's pause that and get a view out the left passenger wing. All right, there we go, and there go the speed brakes. All right, let's do that again from the right-hand side. Frame rate is slowed down a little bit, but we still get the general gist of the landing. Uh-oh, and I am afraid. Yeah, I was afraid of that. Flight Simulator just locked up there. Well, what do you know? Not too bad. Not too bad overall, I think, for the initial inaugural flight. We're going to do this some more. This was fun. If you're not on the skyhublink.com email list, go to the Join Contact tab. Let's see. Graham says, or let me go back up to Brian. Hey, Brian, K6SKI is there. Right on, Jack. That was cool. Great job. Appreciate it, Brian. Thanks for being there. Graham, many thanks. Jack, for an enjoyable couple hours. Look forward to the next one night. Yeah, I'll probably do this again, at least next week, maybe over the weekend. We'll see what's going on. Dave says you can go have fun at the Lagoon Amusement Park tomorrow, unless they have you flying to Phoenix. Jay, why do you say rest in peace? That was a good landing. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, guys. We'll go ahead and shut this down for tonight. Really appreciate everybody watching who did. It was a lot of fun. If you have not yet, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button, and we'll go ahead and call it a night there. So we'll do it again. I don't know, maybe next time we'll go Denver to Albuquerque, Denver to Phoenix, and sometime we're going to fly into Burbank. That one is tough. That one is really tough. But anyway, hey, be sure to the program crashed right there at the end. You know, it did that one time before when I was doing replays. So who knows? Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, guys. That'll wrap it up for tonight. I'll let you know when it is. If you're not on that email list, get on the email list so you can see notifications of the flight sim stuff. I may even set up something else for that. So for now, we'll say goodnight from Salt Lake City. Maybe we'll fly back to Denver. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. Denver's always pretty to fly into, and the simulator does the job of rendering everything so very well. So thanks again. We'll look for you next time here on the KE0VH Jack channel. Check out all my other videos if you can. And by the way, catch Captain Canada. Like I said, he is pro at this. He does such a great job, and he does a lot more streaming than I do too. Dave says, don't fly to Chicago. Well, Dave, I've flown to Chicago a lot. It's fun. Anyway, y'all have a good night. God bless you, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time here.